Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am driving this. This is the Mercedes A-Class limousine. And yes, I'm being athletic because this car is actually aimed at younger buyers. Straight away we are going to be opening the engine bay. It is hot, yeah, and it's a little bit of an effort because it is so hot. This is the engine. Of course, you've seen this engine before in a multitude of cars, which I'll talk about later, but Renault and Nissan is the hint I'm giving you right away. And of course, the engine bay is very big because bigger engines obviously fit in there. No insulation right there. It actually needs insulation. Let's close this. The design of this car is very nice. It is very aerodynamic a car. In fact, this car has the lowest coefficient of drag of any car on sale right now. And how did they achieve it? Well, with a lot of smart engineering bits, of course, to the design as well. The lights look beautiful. This is the DRL, of course. And you know what? It says Mercedes-Benz right there. Now, of course, this happens to be the indicator, which is actually the DRL of the car. And you get the, not the diamond studded grille, but the grille has that studs on it. Massive Mercedes logo up front and another Mercedes logo there. You see, the design of the car is actually very nice without having too many cuts and creases. Subtleness, yet beautiful. Towing hook right there, chrome treatment. Coming to the side, you realize this is the longest car in its segment with the longest wheelbase. It is also the tallest car in the segment. Yeah, and you know what is the competitor? The BMW 2 Series. Yeah, that's right. Now you see the wheels of the car. Okay, again aerodynamic bits so that air flows away. I mean, it doesn't go inside and create turbulence. Again, very smartly done. That's the reason why efficiency is the best in the segment. 205 55 17 is the size of the tire. You get front parking sensors, of course. And this is not a coupe. The CLA is the coupe version. I mean, rather, the CLA is a coupe. The A-Class limousine is not a coupe. In fact, till here, it is almost identical to the A-Class hatchback. Now, they call it the limousine. It's actually the A-Class sedan or the A-Class saloon, depending on where you are. Coming to the rear, again, design bits are excellent. Typical Mercedes affair, which I'll talk about right away. However, you see the attention to detail in the lights. Amazing, says Mercedes-Benz right there. Now, what are these? These are, of course, Faisal Khan's fingers of truth. And they go here to find out these are fake exhausts. Yeah, these are not real exhausts. They are fake exhausts on both the sides and a chrome line joining in between, because the real exhaust happens to be right there. Yeah, there is where the real exhaust of the car is. So, yeah, actually in enthusiasm, I clipped off the mic from my shirt. Anyways, in terms of design, full marks to Mercedes-Benz. You get a high mounted stop lamp as well. Let's open the boot of the car, and there, come on, I thought it opens on its own. Yeah, it kind of does. There it opens. In this particular car, we have got the spare wheel on top, but the cars which will be sold, the spare wheel will be below. The boot carrying capacity happens to be 405 liters, which happens to be 10 liters less in the diesel variant, which is 395 liters because of the AdBlue tank. Yeah, storage space is good. Actually, the boot is wide enough. You can keep a lot of stuff on the inside, but this thing needs to go, which it has. Okay, you want to recline the seat? Okay, you can just recline it like this, pull there, and there. I mean, I'll have to push it forward from there. This is the warning triangle, of course. And let's shut the boot for a moment. Now, the seat can be reclined in 60-40 split, of course. So, in order to increase the boot carrying capacity there. Yeah, if you want to carry more stuff. But 405 liters is similar to the Renault Kiger. Yeah, because you know what? This car is about also having good amount of space in the rear, which it does to a great extent. Now you see it gets ISOFIX child seat mounts. The seat recline angle could have been slightly better. It's a little bit upright. Meanwhile, there's actually very good amount of leg room and new room on offer. Yeah, scooped out seat back, magazine holder, but this is hard plastic. There's a USB-C charging port right there. Twin AC vents at the rear as well. Let's close the door, and it shuts with a proper thud. Now the glass area could have been slightly bigger. There's light placement on the top, on both the sides, of course. And parcel shelf area isn't that big. You get 3 adjustable headrests. You also get a center armrest with twin cup holders. Meanwhile, the floor isn't completely flat. There's a small hump in the center. Now, the headroom is actually good enough for someone who's as tall as me, but under thigh support isn't that great. Under thigh support could have been a lot better. Actually, the seat is so low now. Under thigh support is kind of compromised. The dashboard looks really amazing, really awesome. I love the design of the dashboard. Seat belt does not get the height adjustment function. That's kind of disappointing. The door pockets are actually big enough at the rear. Let's quickly get to the front. This car is loaded with plenty of tech, which actually comes from bigger Mercedes cars, which is very impressive. For starters, let me tell you that the steering wheel feels great to hold. Okay, this is actually the control for the lumbar adjustment of the seat. This is actually the memory seats. It gets, you can save up to 3 people's settings. Meanwhile, this is obviously for the adjustment of the seats. Now, this is actually there for both the front seats, which means even the co-passenger gets memory seats and electric adjustment. These are actually the controls for the power windows. This is for the outside rear view mirror, lock and unlock the car. This is to open the boot. In fact, if I open the boot like this, it opens all the way till the top. That's kind of nice, impressive as well. Now, once you get inside, you realize that Mercedes has made the cabin very useful. Firstly, door pockets are big enough at the front. Under-thigh support is not a problem. Yeah, you can increase the under-thigh support. There's a proper dead pedal right there. And these are actually the controls for the headlights. Automatic headlights, electric parking brake. This is for the fog light. And this is for the headlight leveler. Hi, Noreen. What's up? You like the car? You loved it, right?
Yeah.
My birthday is coming. You know what to gift. So, yeah, A35 to be particular. Meanwhile, you see, the design of the dashboard is extremely impressive because the quality of the materials are also very good. Soft plastics, actually, soft materials, a little bit hard here and there, but for the most part, it's soft. Obviously, lower down, it's on the harder side. The glove box is big enough. In fact, there's this tray on the top as well for storage. This is very cleanly done. Below here is obviously storage space. You get twin cup holders. You can unlock them like this. There's a wireless charging pad, which is big enough for a big phone as well. USB-C charging port. And of course, a 12-volt charging socket, or actually that's a cigarette lighter. Meanwhile, these are the controls for the air conditioning. See the switches, very high quality. I love the turbine AC vents. You see the light inside, it's red colored, and this actually changes when you actually reduce the temperature. This light will change. That's also pretty nicely done there. You see, it became blue. Plenty of attention to detail on this car, which feels very nice. Auto stop start button, engine start button, and the stocks, well, new Mercedes car stocks, slim. Not the best in terms of quality, but nice to operate. This is obviously for the wiper control as well as for the indicator. Now here, this is actually for support so that you can use the touchpad. I don't like the touchpad much. A lot of buttons here. This is for navigation, radio, media, telephone. This is for the volume control. On the other side, you've got the drive mode selector. This is for the camera. This is to get into the car settings. And this is of course a star button which you can assign to whatever you want for your favorites. Now, when you can use the car button, you have quick access to a lot of things like assistance and all that stuff, camera, parking, vehicle lights. In terms of lights, it's got 64 colors for the ambient lighting. That's massive. Yeah, I love the way ambient lighting is done on Mercedes cars. There are so many attention to detail bits on this car, which actually makes you feel special for sure. Below the front center armrest, there's storage space with 2 USB-C charging sockets there as well. That's really nice. Meanwhile, it also gets Mercedes' connected car tech called the Mercedes Me, which works flawlessly well. It also works with Alexa and Google Home, so you can get information about your car from there too. Alexa, ask Mercedes, where is my car?
Your 200 is located near Sirolim Road, Meadow, Majorda, Goa 403708, India.
बस सबको स्कीम मत बताओ. Meanwhile, it obviously gets voice commands as well. This MBUX system is very nice. Obviously, it's a touchscreen system, very fluid to use. You've seen it in a multitude of Mercedes cars already, so there's nothing new as such, but it's good to see this on an entry-level car like the A-Class. All the information here, very nicely done. Obviously, you get an auto-dimming inside rear view mirror, which is frameless. Here you get a mirror along with the light. Same is the case here as well, a mirror along with the light. You get a panoramic roof, but the roof isn't that big as such. But still, it is big enough to bring in a lot of airy feeling inside the cabin, although the cabin definitely feels airy because it gets the beige treatment. And they've used beige, they've used black, they've also used wood beautifully along with aluminium. So plenty of color play here and there. Now once I open the roof, you see this thing automatically retracts and comes back. Okay, it's extremely hot. You can see so much sweat is on me right now. And here you have a lot of buttons for the lights, of course. This is for the Mercedes Me, this is for SOS. Okay, there's a button you need to press, and what it'll do, it'll connect you to the call center to help you in case of an emergency. Now this is a beautiful screen. It is fluid AF, 10.25 inch in size, 10.25 inch in size. So these dual screens look fantastic without a doubt. And the best part is that it's very fluid to use. Okay, from these buttons you can control this screen, from these buttons you can control this screen, and obviously this is for the volume controls. The quality of switches is just fantastic. This is for the cruise control system, of course, and you get paddles which are finished in plastic as such. Okay, you see, in order to browse through this, it's a regular Mercedes affair which you've seen on a ton of Mercedes cars. Very fluid system, and what I like the most is that styles and displays are beautifully done, so you can obviously change this the way you like it. Now we've seen this on the EQC as well. If I press this display button there, you see it changes completely. What a beautiful instrument cluster. Mercedes makes the best instrument cluster without a doubt. Okay, the wipers work well. Plenty of spray on offer. Yeah, that's a lot of spray on offer. and cleans the windscreen in no time at all. Audio quality, well, let's play an audio right away. I don't even know what that song was, but definitely audio quality feels nice. Meanwhile, you get a camera with multiple views, and obviously you get front and rear parking sensors as well, which you can see. It gets adaptive guidelines, but most importantly, this car feels very well put together, has good amount of space for its size, and headroom is also class leading. But how is it to drive? Well, let's get going straight away. Alright, we are all set to go, which means turning off the air conditioning, getting into sport mode, turning off the ESP system, which means that I have to go all the way into settings, quick access, ESP off. That's not all. Get into assistance, active brake assist also off. I'll tell you later why. And then we're also going to get into the sport displays. Here it's telling how much power and torque is being consumed in real time. Into drive mode, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor, revs to 2000 RPM. Yeah, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour takes around 8.3 seconds. This is actually slower than the diesel by 0.1 second, in spite of the fact that this is actually a very smaller engine. The difference between petrol and diesel is not much in terms of outright acceleration. It is very less indeed. The horn is actually quite nice and very loud as well. You see the motor becomes very loud as well. So it redlines at 6000 RPM. Now this is the same engine which does duty in, of course, the Nissan Kicks as well as the Renault Duster. It happens to be the 1.3 liter turbo petrol engine which gets direct injection. You see turning radius is actually nice. Steering wheel feels really light and nimble, easy to twirl, easy to maneuver, and of course there's good amount of low end grunt. But because the peak torque comes in from 1620 RPM all the way to 4000 RPM, that is the reason why there is a hint of lag lower down. But getting into the gas, the mid-range is very exciting. Top end could have been better, but it gets really vocal post 4000 RPM. Now this car is actually producing 163 horsepower. Meanwhile, in the Duster as well as the Kicks, the horsepower is slightly lower. Of course, this engine has been made with Daimler, Renault, Nissan. The three companies have got together to make this engine, and it's a fantastic unit in terms of punch. It's a 1.3 liter unit, turbocharged, direct injection, all that jazz. But great performance, really grunty, and I don't even know what car that is right in front of me, but looks rad. So out of sheer respect for vintage cars, I'm going to take a reverse so that these guys can pass. I just love the fact that this car is so easy, nimble, and just so easy to maneuver as well. Now we are into first gear, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator. You see the motor is actually quite vocal when you're able to get the wheels to spin, and the horn is of course nice as well. The handling characteristics of this car are absolutely impressive. Braking performance is stellar as well. Meanwhile, this has got a slew of connected car tech as well as voice commands. So here, see, hey Mercedes,
how may I help you?
Do I need an umbrella?
Currently, it is most likely not raining in Pernem with a temperature of 25 degrees.
So definitely all these things are improving day and night in terms of all the slew of tech which Mercedes-Benz is offering. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the display. If I press this display button now, you see this is also quite cool, showing me how much consumption is happening, coasting and all that stuff. Again, for the reasons of better fuel economy. But what I'll do is I'll get into another display. There's so many great displays here in Mercedes cars. So check this one out, okay, sport display. This one feels nice. It also changes the display here on the infotainment system. So performance of this engine is actually quite nice, being a small capacity engine producing 163 horsepower and 250 Newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, like I told you, takes 8.3 seconds. So yes, slightly slower than the diesel, but equally rewarding and fun as well. Fuel consumption 17.5 kilometers per liter is the fuel economy of this car, which is actually decent considering, you know, of course, the segment. But ground clearance is also good enough. You don't have to worry over bad speed breakers, but the motor just gets too vocal. And this is a 7-speed dual clutch gearbox. The only problem with this gearbox is that it's not the fastest in terms of shifts, which is kind of surprising considering this is a dual clutch unit. I would have expected it to, you know, make gear changes even faster, but it just does not. You know, it kind of hesitates to make a downshift. It's kind of disappointing. You can obviously manually take control of things. Now it has got a slew of drive modes. Actually, there are 4 drive modes on offer. In typical Mercedes affair, Sport, Comfort, Eco and Individual. And in Individual you can obviously configure a slew of things. Basically only three things: the engine, the gearbox and the ESP system. It also configures the air conditioning, the blower speed in eco mode, just to improve the fuel economy of the car. The steering wheel is actually a surprise. It's very nice. Actually, it's not a surprise, it's something you expect from Mercedes-Benz cars, the steering wheel to offer good amount of feel and feedback, and it does. Around the corners, body roll is very well contained. Of course there's body roll, but you get a little spritey with the throttle. There's going to be wheel spin on offer because this is a front wheel drive car, and with front wheel drive obviously there has to be wheel spin. But what is so impressive is that the ride and handling balance of this car is just phenomenal. Okay, it rides beautifully well. Obviously for India they've raised the ride height, they're given a high profile tire as well, and although the suspension and the chassis is obviously on the stiffer side, the firmer side, it still rides beautifully. Only bad potholes catch the car out, but for the most part the ride quality is very nice. The steering wheel is brilliant. It is light at low speed, it weighs up beautifully at high speeds, and high speed stability is also fantastic, obviously because it's a very slippery car in terms of coefficient of drag, which means that this is a car you would really enjoy, and it is actually the best of both worlds. So you can drive it fast, and you can obviously drive it over bad roads as well. The Indian road, most of it tackles it beautifully well without any problem whatsoever. So definitely Mercedes has done a fantastic job in terms of the suspension setup, making sure that you can have your fun, yet you won't be uncomfortable. The steering weighs up beautifully well at higher speeds as well. Now this engine, the 1.3 liter turbo engine, this is fantastic in the way it gives you a nice mid-range surge. So yeah, mid-range is the strongest point of this motor, but the top end performance isn't that great because it upshifts at around 6000 rpm. It could have held the red line slightly longer. It could have felt even more punchy in the top end of the rev range, because that's what you expect from a turbo petrol engine. And for a car which looks this beautiful, you surely want something which is always egging you to push it towards the red line. This car just does not like the red line as much, but then it's practical because the mid-range is really very juicy and strong. Of course this engine kind of feels little lackluster at slower speeds, but this DCT gearbox, the dual clutch unit, just does a fantastic job in masking that turbo lag and giving you good drivability as well. Now, whenever you drive this car, you're driving something special because the interior feels lovely. You feel that you've got more than what you've paid for. That's the kind of money's worth you get with this car. And talking about that, the pricing is not yet revealed, but I expect it to be somewhere around what the 2 Series Gran Coupe is priced at, because obviously that is the primary competitor. The Audi A3 is no longer on sale in the Indian market, unfortunately. But you know what, Mercedes has played it smart. This car replaces two cars in the Indian market. It replaces the A-Class as well as the CLA. The CLA is not coming, and of course this is the 4th generation of the A-Class. Feels fantastic to drive. It is youthful, it is youth oriented, it has all the things you would expect what a first time Mercedes car buyer wants. And thankfully Mercedes has been again very smart by offering just one trim, which is the fully loaded with all the bells and whistles, not cutting corners and being like, you know what, let me do one thing, let me give an entry level variant to lure more buyers. No, you get everything inside this car. You get a panoramic roof, of course, and you get plenty of tech. You even get active brake assist, which basically first gives you a warning triangle to tell you there's someone ahead, then it makes a sound, and if you're too close, then it automatically applies brakes as well. There are 3 settings for the same. There's early, medium and late, of course, which again I've shown you in a slew of Mercedes cars earlier on as well. Because this is front wheel drive, you can see that continuously the traction control light is blinking. So as I see it, this Mercedes A-Class does feel amazing in a lot of ways. Most importantly, it feels like a jack of all trades and a master of some. First and foremost, the ride and handling balance is fantastic. The engine has good amount of oomph. Yes, low end lag is there, top end performance isn't there as much, but then the mid-range is really strong. It gets vocal, but then I like that vocalness. I like the way it kind of feels sporty in the higher end of the rev range. Yeah, paddle shifters, good. Gearbox could be faster, could be a little bit more aggressive. It's not, unfortunately. And then maneuverability is just fantastic. Okay, I love this display. It's so, it doesn't distract you at all, because all I can see is the clock on one side and the speedometer on the other side. The tachometer has vanished, but that's not the display I want to drive with. I want to drive with something which gives me a lot more information, and my personal favorite, of course, the sport one. Here we're going to get into engine, which is showing how much power and torque is being consumed in real time. Steering wheel feels so good, and that's something Mercedes has been nailing it since donkey's years, that light steering but still weighs up beautifully well. Now of course the elephant in the room is that how does it compete with BMW's 2 Series Gran Coupe? The thing is, the Gran Coupe doesn't have too much of an appeal, because either you like it or you don't. There's not a universal opinion saying that they love the design of the car. But with the A-Class, definitely people will like it a lot more. Firstly, this is the 4th generation of the A-Class, and Mercedes has resolved the biggest gripe which was there with the previous generation, which was lack of rear seat comfort. This one actually feels so much better in so many ways, because first and foremost, great connectivity, good amount of features on offer, and they have not gone out by cutting corners by giving a lower variant at a cheaper price to get more volumes. No, none of that bullshit. They've just given one big fat loaded trim which has all the features, and that's something they are now following. That's the reason why the C-Class also doesn't have a lower variant. Whichever variant you buy, you get almost all the things you would expect, and I think this is also to do with the fact that Kia and Hyundai are offering so many features in their cars that if you buy a Mercedes which costs 2 times more, you don't want it not having a panoramic roof. This car obviously has a panoramic roof, which is not really as big as I would have expected it to be. Motor gets quite vocal in the top end of the rev range. So what do I like about this car and what I don't like? Actually, there's a lot to like about it. The design is good, the interiors are good, space is also good enough at the rear. Boot space could have been bigger. Lot of features on offer, plenty of tech, great connectivity, great ride and handling balance as well. Steering feels responsive enough. I mean, there's not much to complain about. If I have to nitpick, I would say they could have given it a bigger petrol engine, but then again, that's me being stupid, because of course they're also offering the 835 AMG, which obviously offers great amount of thrust. So as I see it, there's not much to falter with this car. Actually, there's very little cons with this car. Mercedes has done an absolute fantastic job, and it's only going to be a little difficult to choose in the future, because then of course you're going to have the GLA as well, and then the SUV audience would want to go towards the GLA. But then Mercedes is like 53% sales come from sedans for them in the Indian market. Of course, the S-Class is the leader in its segment, the E-Class is the leader in its segment, the C-Class is also the leader in its segment, so is the GLS, the GLE and the GLC. What exactly is BMW, Audi, Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo selling? I don't think much. Braking performance is absolutely fantastic, very reassuring. Since Mercedes expects a slew of the buying audience to be first-time car buyers, they're also throwing in a state-of-the-art 8-year warranty on the engine and transmission, which by the way is transferable. So if a person sells the car, the new owner also gets it, which ensures good resale value, and of course there are going to be a lot of maintenance packages as well. The car comes with a 3-year warranty, which again is state-of-the-art when you compare it to other cars in the luxury car segment. The engine doesn't really rev as fast as you would expect, but around the corners, this car is thrilling to drive. It is a whole lot of fun, puts a smile on your face and just goes. Only thing is that I will definitely find the diesel better because of the torque rush on offer, but the diesel is a different story for a different day altogether. This is the end of the vlog. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That's a like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video real soon. Bye bye.